Action. Welcome back to another episode of a Fern Between Two Dohs. My name is Connor. This is Pat, and this is another Sydney Uni FC program brought to you by the best beer in the business, Wingman, the beer that gives you wings. In celebration of the Olympics starting up this week, we thought it'd be a good chance to bring in two of the club's greatest sevens representatives who have grazed the shores of many foreign lands, playing the style of rugby we only care about every 4 years. Tonight, we're lucky enough to have two of Sydney Uni's greats on the show, Bernard Foley and Pat McCutcheon. How are we, lads?
Great, lads. Thanks for having us on.
Pat,
yeah, good, lads. Enjoying for it.
Pat, you obviously were a part of the 2016 Rio Olympic side and one of our most recent Olympic representatives. It might seem like a lifetime ago, but many people might not know, Bernard, that you represented Australia in Moscow in 2013 in the Rugby Sevens World Cup. Tell us a little bit about that experience in Russia.
Well, I think what happens in Russia stays in Russia, but it was a unique experience, especially being in Russia in the summer. There's a lot of good-looking women and a lot of ugly men, so Kutch would have fitted in well.
I thought our first, global tournament was in Delhi in 2010, mate, when we went to the Commonwealth Games together.
Yeah, if we're talking about Olympics, probably the closest thing I did, Kutch took me to the Commonwealth Games back in 2010 when I was a young pup, and I don't think I've ever been the same since.
So just touching on that, obviously, Pat, you went to the Olympics 2016 in probably sevens program that was very, very different to probably that Com Games program, probably very elite athlete mentality.
Yeah, there was. But, look, I'm not going to deny that in 2010 it might have been, play hard, party hard. But we had a group of young men, and a lot of them from Sydney University, that actually probably trained harder than what we partied. So I look at that. We got results then. We came second overall in the Commonwealth Games, which is fantastic results. And I think from 2010 to 2016, professionalism of sevens probably across the globe increased dramatically. You saw teams like Kenya and Wales and, teams that traditionally aren't the strongest really start to dominate and get better. So time 2016 around, if you weren't an elite team and have an elite organisation, you weren't going to be competitive at all.
Your experience in the athletes' village and everything, and being around with massive audiences, is going to be completely different to the boys that are going over there or over there now in Tokyo. Can you just give us a bit of an insight of what the athletes' village environment was like? Who were the biggest? What countries were the most rowdy, and who did you get along with the most?
I probably got along best with athletes who were in other teams, team sports or team-focused athletes. It was the athletes who were individual that I struggled with a little bit. They were all about me, and what I could do, and that didn't sit well with me. But look, it was just interesting. You'd go to the food hall, and it was like a 747 hangar, and there's just bain marie's and every cuisine and whatever you wanted. And so we'd have challenges to go sit next to somebody random and have a yarn to them and see what you could learn or find out about something. And I was sitting at the James Tanner, and we were sitting next to this this Jamaican lady, and we started having a yarn to her, and we didn't have any idea who she was. She was a 5-time Olympian, multiple world champions, gold medals, silver medals, and she was one of the most humble, nicest individuals you ever meet. And I think there was experiences like that which I'm grateful to probably have experienced.
Yeah, that sounds very much like a great Colts bonding session to me. Also, so talking about where you fellas are now. So, Bernard, where are you, mate?
Oh, I'm at present. I'm in the Gold Coast, enjoying a couple of months off before I got to head back to Japan, actually.
Rumour has it that you were around in Sydney. How come you didn't put on the uni jersey, mate, and make an appearance? Fourth grade need a hooker.
Yeah, I was promised a spot in fourth grade, but it was sort of bumping in with my social calendar, so we couldn't really adjust at those game times to start at the right time. But I've also got a couple of bands matches suspension that I've still got to ride out. So that was the reason why I couldn't either. So
we'll get to that. We'll get to that later on. But Gold Coast sounds like the place to be at the moment. Let's go back to Japan. One of the marquee signings over there. What has it been like playing in Japan? The style of rugby you're playing?
Yeah, I suppose it's a whole new experience, and that's a attraction of the Japanese league and going up and living in a place like Tokyo. There's all these bright lights. There's 20 million people living in one city, so there's always a lot going on. There's always a lot of fun to be had. But the rugby, I suppose, appetite over there has increased dramatically, especially since the Rugby World Cup in 2019. When their national team did really well, the whole country got behind it, and since then there's been a real excitement and following behind rugby. And so I was really fortunate to go up there and play in the top league, which is their domestic competition, where you go up and play for a number of companies, and a lot of guys, foreigners from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, internationals and Super Rugby players come up and join the teams. And yeah, I think it's been a whole new experience. It's quite a refreshing challenge for myself, going over there, learning a new language, living in a new culture, and meeting so many different people from all around the world. And also, I think the exciting thing about it is you go back to the reasons why you really love rugby. It's sort of an amateur style where a lot of your teammates actually work at the companies, and they have to go and put the overalls on or go into an office job, and then they come and play rugby. So it gives you that reflection or reminder that we're pretty lucky to do what we do, and that cultural experience of the clashes is quite exciting. That rugby allows that.
How's your Japanese, Bernard?
Yeah, it's limited. It gets me through. I can order 3 beers.
So Bernard, to talk about your performance to date in Japan, 2 red cards already. To be red card and a yellow card. Red card and yellow card. 2 cards, whatever. You're taking the piss, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, I'm sort of getting the nickname for being the hitman up there, I think.
So obviously you've taken Bowden Barrett's head off. You took the number 8 of Colby Steele's head off, with literally jumping at him in the air, hitting his head. I'd just like to run us through afterwards as well. You try to reason with the referee. What were you trying to do? Obviously, you can't speak a word of Japanese.
Yeah, well, I thought I put up a pretty good defence, but I think it must have been the language barrier that really let me down there.
I think also it was really good from the footage was that you actually were pissing yourself laughing after you got red carded. What were you thinking there?
Well, I was trying to laugh at the interpretation of the laws, and I think there must have been a lost in translation.
I thought it was you laughing at your own tackle technique, because obviously the amount of money you're on in Japan, like you need more time today, so you don't spend the extra time with your defence training. Obviously,
I told him before the scrum that Cutcheon's probably the last number 8 to try and run down there, and it's not a good idea. And
probably the first 2 tackles you made all career, mate.
I didn't make many, and they were highly publicised, I suppose.
And also, your yellow card, where you probably the latest shot in rugby history on Bowden Barrett.
So they've lost metres, but they still have the ball. Barrett, the little chip and chase, is taken late. And no arms.
What was the beer like after the game?
It was a bit sour because we lost the game, but it was sweet that I was able to get one on him.
Did you have a chat to him afterwards?
But I'll say again, I think all foreigners have a sort of a mutual respect up there, or a mutual agreement, and I think
sounds like a cover
going along with that probably sort of overstepped it a little bit. But I still claim I was in the air and didn't pull out.
Right, so obviously you blokes both played a lot of time together at the Waratahs. We're very interested to sort of know what the difference, like obviously winning a title under Michael Checker, the difference, like when Checker came to the fore, he seemed like a very different style of coach, like a very good mix between the culture and the tactics side of things. Just want to sort of get your insight into what way you thought Michael's coaching at the Waratahs sort of made you guys, Super Rugby champions?
Yeah, well, I suppose, I think Kutch was there a lot longer than I was, but the Waratahs were seen as the perennial underachievers. And, they've always had a lot of talent and had been very close a number of times. But I think Czech really brought that united front with the guys, the ability to want to work hard for each other, the ability to be connected on and off the field. And, that year, it sort of started the year before where he came in and, we got flogged for 12 months. But then that 2014 year, I think we had such a great balance of on and off the field, guys really playing for each other, doing the hard work. And, the whole experience of that whole season was enjoyable. It was tough and probably took years off our playing careers, but it was well worth it by the end of it.
Czech was very good at getting the balance between being a teammate and being a family. We did a lot of work sort of actually trying to get to know each other a bit more. Like, you think you know your teammates because you turn up on a Tuesday, Thursday night and train and play on a Saturday and have a few beers after. But do you really know them? And we did a lot of exercises sort of outside or off the field to sort of build those connections and, adding that working hard together and for one another. When you put that on the field, you can see the results we've got. So, if you talk around technically how good of coaching is, well, yeah, he's okay. But what he did off field and then how he got everybody's attitude and melody all on the same wavelength and on the same page, that was second to none.
He's obviously got very notorious ways of coaching. So he gave you guys a club and gave a name for it. Am I correct, or did you get to choose the name?
No. So the theme of the year, I suppose, was all about letting the club go. So regardless of the situation or the scenario in the game and the context or outcomes, that we'd just play a certain way, that we would, we would always go out there with the best intent to play that attacking style of rugby and not fear consequences. Don't fear failure. We want to go out there and back what we've done, back our preparation. And that was just letting the club go, which was a little thing from Tiger Woods. When he was in his heyday, he just stood at the tee and, visualised or expected to do the best shot, even in all the circumstances, or, to win a major, you'd still stand up there and rip the club as hard as possible. So that was the background of it. And then in the final, the week before the final, we all got given our own club with a name on it. Mine was Eleanor. I have no idea why.
What type of club was it? A pitching wedge?
It was a fairway wood, so it was like a 3-wood, I think. I don't know if it lasted the celebrations either.
I was going to ask whether it was still in your bag. Or McCutcheon's bag still.
Yeah, but the best story about that was we're in the pre-match speech, and Czech had a golf club and he was waving it around, and everyone's sort of, especially the guys on the front row, trying to duck and weave so they didn't get collected by this club that he was swinging. And then at the very end, he actually let it go and he just threw it across the room, and it got stuck in the netting above the change rooms there, and it was just dangling there.
So notoriously, between a group of younger players at the Waratahs, there was the notorious household of what was known notoriously as the Pentagon, which included, correct me if I'm wrong, yourself, Bernard, Michael Hodge, Nick Phipps, and John O'Lance, and then someone called the Muggle.
He's one of the students' greats too. Well, back in the day, Josh Coops, the rapper.
Early Sunday after 2014 Super Rugby final was at the Pentagon. Is there any funny stories from the celebrations? Who was worst on ground?
Well, I think Kutch was back on the Monday or the Tuesday. I think repairing a lot of the gyprock or the plasterboards on the stairs up to the house.
Yeah, we had an altercation.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where where his club went to. I think it was part of the cleanup, but it was good that the landlord never found out about that.
Who was best on ground that day?
Daryl Gibson.
And who was the worst on ground? I've heard little birdies saying it was yourself, Bernard. Did you go to bed early?
They're saying it was me.
Yeah, I've heard birdies.
I could have been sleeping down. I could have been catching some sleep at Bucket List in a Sunday afternoon, but I think there was a recovery session after. I was able to live another day.
So in terms of the 5 of you that lived there, who lived in the worst squat? Who was the biggest pig?
Hodgie.
Yeah. No,
he didn't even have a door in his room.
Mattress on the floor, no
I think
dude.
that was something he carried over from his Wesley days. Him and Nick Phibbs, had some weird stuff going, and the Muggle did some weird stuff at Wesley, and I think they just tried to carry that forward. And absolute squalors.
I actually I have to commend Bernard on that. You'd walk into Bernard's room, and he'd have the Dyson there hanging up on the wall, and he'd freshly vacuumed floor and changing his sheets every second day, and his room was
a little bit of floral scent.
Yeah, I was lucky. Cutcheon only there 8 months a week.
I'm bringing it home, boys. We'll bring it back to Sydney Uni. Obviously you guys won the premiership in 2013, just before you made your Wallabies debut, Bernard. Can you tell us a little bit about that year?
Yeah, that was actually the last time I played for this unit, so it feels a long, long time ago. But it was a really enjoyable year. I think we were really lucky. We had Chris Malone, head coach, Peter Playford involved, and it was quite a special year where we had guys come back and play. We had Tim Davison come back, Tom Carter, Kutch. But then there was, a lot of up-and-coming guys I'd played through Colts, Tom English, Tom Kingston, and Nick Phibbs was there as well. So there's it was a great team, and it was a real enjoyable season after the Super Rugby season to come back and to rip in and to really enjoy what club rugby has to offer. We trained hard. We prepared well, but we also made sure it was about the club, and it was about not just the first graders, about the entire club. So again, it was a really enjoyable season, and why uni rugby and why the club does so well is a real tribute to it.
And Kutch, you were in the 09 grand final as well. What was the difference between that team, the 09 and the 2013?
Each team you play in is unique in its own way. Like Bernard said, there's a lot of players that you play Colts with, and you play Youngrids, and you all go your separate ways, and you came back. And I think that was, as Bernard's alluding to, that the beautiful part about it, that everybody wants to come back. A lot of players you talk to, they finish the Super Rugby or playing for the nation, and they just want to rest. They want some time out. But, at the time, a lot of the players wanted to come back. And I remember, I think with 09, Sydney Uni, we weren't doing that well within the season. I think we won the last 9 games with a bonus point to put us into the top 6, and then we sort of chipped our way through that to eventually winning it. But, I think it was just blokes actually physically wanting to put their hand up and play. And, whether that meant they had to play second grade or sit on the bench or do something else, coming back from higher honours, well, that didn't faze them. They were more than willing to put their hand up, and I think that's the beautiful part of it.
We're wrapping it up here. What we've done is, over the course of the week between the last episode and this week's episode, we've actually done a survey. We've had 459 anonymous responders to this survey. We've got 3 questions. What we'll do is run you through the questions. We'll see which ones you reckon are most correct, and we'll tell you what the audience have said. So the first one is, who is the bigger bin juice? So to explain to you what bin juice is, essentially it's the lowest of the low. In pre-season, they always get issued a bib and a tackle bag. Their prospects are very low. First one to get steaming, and then the first one to cause drama. So the 2 options were, first one, Nick de Crepney at the Rebels. Second option, Michael Hodge at the New South Wales Waratahs.
Kutch going? Yeah,
I'd have to go Hodge.
Yeah, Hodge wins that one. So he had 52% of the vote, and Nick de Crepney had 48%. Bloody close one.
It's close.
Yeah, close. So the next one we've got is who has the best bog jog. So that's running under fatigue and especially for the tight five. That's pretending you're sprinting, but you're actually just bog jogging. So the three options were Jeremy Tilts, Matt Sandell, and Shabal.
I'd have to say Matty Sandell, just because he's always in a world of hurt, regardless. Like, I remember when he was doing pre-season at Waratahs, he always looked, he was doing it tough. Tilsey would do it, but he'd just smile for no reason. So Matty Sandell.
Oh, I'm gonna go Tilsey. Tilsey's very good at the bog cog. He's low gear, mate.
And the last question we had was, who spends the most time in the physio room? First one being Connor O'Shea, second one Guy Porter, and thirdly Michael Hodge.
Is there a fourth one, Nick Phibbs? Can we add him in there? Was he part of the survey?
So the winner of that one was Michael Hodge. He won at 93%, and Guy Porter and Connor O'Shea took it at about 3.5% collectively. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time tonight joining the two Dohs. It's been an absolute pleasure. Mate, have a great rest of the winter, I suppose.
Arigato.
Thank you very much for having me.
Nice, lads.
Cheers,
Thanks very much, guys.